Greetings and welcome back. We are in Senior English A, and our objective now is to work with the brief scene on page 389, Macbeth, Act 3, Scene 6, and then some summative observations about Act 3. In the third act, we begin to see the wheels come off the bus. It happens in regards to, first of all, Lady Macbeth, and then later, of course, by the end of this act, Macbeth himself. We have just heard in 3:5, a prophecy. This is another prophecy, and we should probably record it in our notes as such. This prophecy is given by Queen Hecate, and she will say, pride always goes before the fall. Macbeth is too prideful to ever realize he, in the end, will be jacked. We're now ready for Scene 6. This is a way for Shakespeare to finish the third act by basically saying things are really bad in Scotland. So if you need anything to write down in your notes real quickly for 3:6, it is simply that. Things are really bad in Scotland. Or, to continue with my word picture, the wheels are coming off the bus. Alright? We're going to hear Lennox, who's a soldier, speaking with another old man. And the observations that will be made are basically Denmark is jacked. Now let's put it in your notes because this is an important observation from our King Arthur and the Arthurian motif. As goes the king, so goes the state. We want to write that down. As goes the king, so goes the state. Now what do we mean by that? If you have a good king, you have a good state. But if you've got a crummy king, things are not going to go well in your country. Got me? Duncan was a good king, and so Denmark was doing very well. Hurrah, they won the war, etc. But when Macbeth becomes king, Lennox and the Lord at the end of 3:6 will tell us Denmark is already ready in trouble. The other thing we should point out before we listen to this scene is that it's fairly obvious that a good number of people are now talking. After Macbeth's little fiasco at the party, when he said, no one can ever say I'm the one that killed so-and-so, the minute he starts talking that noise, the people at the party start to realize something's up with this guy. Now everybody's talking. We're going to find out how they're talking in this scene, and the way they're talking is simply this. It's pretty obvious that even though the two sons of Duncan are the ones that are accused of killing their dad, through proxy of the bodyguards, it's fairly obvious that it's actually Macbeth. And Macbeth is he is a bad guy. At the very end of this scene, then, we're going to hear that there's a question about Macduff. And of course, Macduff will become the central player for the rest of the play for us. All right, let's go ahead and listen to this thing real quickly. A brief scene in which we hear about how things are getting pretty bad in Denmark.
My former speeches have but hid your thoughts which can interpret farther. Only, I say, things have been strangely born. The gracious Duncan was pitied of Macbeth. Marry, he was dead. And the right valiant Banquo walked too late, whom you may say, if please you, Fleance killed, for Fleance fled. Men must not walk too late. Who cannot want the thought how monstrous it was for Malcolm and for Donalbain to kill their gracious father? Downright fact, how it did grieve Macbeth. Did he not straight in pious rage the two delinquents tear that were the slaves of drink and thralls of sleep? Was not that nobly done? Aye, and wisely too, for it would have angered any heart alive to hear the man deny it. So that I say he has borne all things well. And I do think that had he Duncan's sons under his key, as and please heaven he shall not, they should find what 'twere to kill a father, and so should Fleance. Peace, for from broad words, and 'cause he failed his presence at the tyrant's feast, I hear Macduff lives in disgrace. Sir, can you tell where he bestows himself?
The son of Duncan, from whom this tyrant holds the due of birth, lives in the English court, and is received of the most pious Edward with such grace that the malevolence of fortune nothing takes from his high respect. Thither Macduff is gone, to pray the holy king upon his aid, to wake Northumberland and warlike Seward, that by the help of these, with him above to ratify the work, we may again give to our tables meat, sleep to our nights, free from our feasts and banquets bloody knives, do faithful homage, and receive free honours, all which we pine for now. And this report hath so exasperate the king, that he prepares for some attempt of war.
Sent he to Macbeth?
He did, and with an absolute, "Sir, not I," the cloudy messenger turns me his back and hums, as who should say, "You'll rue the time that cloaks me with this answer."
And that well might advise him to a caution to hold what distance his wisdom can provide.
Aye.
Some holy angel fly to the court of England and unfold his message ere he come, that a swift blessing may soon return to this our suffering country under a hand accursed.
I'll send my prayers with him.
A suffering country. You'll want to write that one down. Denmark has now become a suffering, Scotland has now become a suffering country. And notice the T word gets used here for Macbeth. What T word am I talking about? Tyrant. The word tyrant. Did you see it? So now all of a sudden everybody has turned against Macbeth. Follow the fall of Macbeth. He starts as this amazing warrior. Oh, worthy gentleman was the word that Duncan used. But now by the end of the third act, Macbeth is already considered to be a really nasty bad guy, right? Of course, we know how nasty a bad guy is from his comments at the end of the of 3-4. Remember when he basically said, "I'm steeped in a river of blood so far, I might as well just keep jacking people." There's one or two creative ways that I have not yet figured out how to murder people. I'm going to keep working at it. I know I can get better at this thing called making it worse. So you can kind of see the strange thinking that's going on here. Now, as we finish, we'll be ready for 4-1. And we'll set up 4-1 real quickly. If you see on 392, 4-1, we start where we started with 1-1. We're going to be back with our 3 witches. You'll remember Macbeth has already said, "I'm going to go to those witches." And we will have then new prophecies, as I pick up on, in my next lecture. We will have new prophecies in regards to Macbeth and in regards to the future of his life. They're going to be one of the central ironies of this play. All right? Questions, comments?